And welcome back, folks, to the Lost Sheep Podcast. I am Nazario Pengallo, here with
Evan Aber.
and
Cole Bissett.
and this is episode number 82. We are in our third different place for the third different week. This week, we are somewhere on the St. Francis University Parish campus. We cannot say exactly where. You have to come find out for yourself. Last week, we were in our house, me and Cole.
Yeah,
Before
Evan
that,
was so
back in the
confused.
normal location. But
That's right.
yeah, we filmed at a different location last week, Evan. So if you're watching for the third straight week and you see us in a third different place, cool. Post in the comments which location you liked the most. You know, maybe tell us how the audio was on all three visuals if you're super, super into it. But without further ado, fellas, how are we doing on this wonderful first episode of March 3rd? Recording on March 3rd.
Man, Cole didn't even save me from my yawn there. Obviously a little bit tired, a little bit sleepy. Coming off of retreat on Sunday, search.
Let's give a great round of applause to Mr. Evan Aber. First search as director. He was the director. Let's give him a round of applause, folks. There we go. What did you think about being Mr. Director, Evan?
It was exciting.
Well, co-director.
Co-director, yeah. It was exciting. It was good. It went smoothly. And I think the big thing was I think Sunday night I got home and I was kind of I have high standards, so I was a little bit frustrated with things that had not gone as I perfectly in my mind. And I kind of slept on it and woke up Monday morning and went to the chapel, and I was actually this was good. This was really good. Several people that I knew came up to me and said, "Hey, thank you. This was a fantastic retreat. I really got something out of this." And so it's really cool to hear that and to see that impact in people's lives. So
yeah, Cole. What about you? How was your week? How's your week going? I know it's only Tuesday, but how you doing? Well, for us it feels weird because we recorded on Saturday.
There is not a lot that happened since Saturday. Our Sunday was nice. We had a nice Sunday.
We did.
Tell me about it.
We kind of just stayed in, honestly. We didn't do anything in
went
particular.
to a study room
we did do
for
that.
2 hours.
Yeah, that was nice. We did go to a study
What did you study?
Engineering statistics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of boring.
I did not study engineering.
We actually had a problem with our last podcast episode where our audio would not upload to Spotify for some reason, and so I was trying to fix that. We're also working on trying to get rid of the American football part in Spotify where it lists us as a category rather than American football. We want Christianity.
What it says right now.
I changed it on Apple Podcasts, and it now says Luke 15:4. So I was able to do that. No idea how I did that.
Can we put Christianity? Is that a genre?
It is. Oh. It is. We just have to somehow manage to claim this podcast on Spotify because we don't have it on Spotify creators. But let's see. Monday was good. I told y'all about the tests that I had to take and how I was studying for that. That went pretty great. So, yeah, it's been a pretty good week.
What about you, Nazario? How was your week? Good week?
Pretty good week,
Got a little smirk over here.
I don't know. I was just laughing at Cole for some reason, but yeah, I don't know. Pretty chill week. We got 1 week after this before spring break. Got one exam next week, so just got to get through that, and then we're heading down to Florida, so that's gonna be awesome.
Y'all missed me getting peanut butter in the face.
Peanut butter in the face. That sounds terrible.
At Search, they forgot the, they pie the co-directors, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah. So
what is that?
Did y'all go to a fall or a spring?
Just fall for me.
Yeah. So the co-directors first retreat, they pie the co-directors, and usually they use whipping cream, but they forgot the whipping cream this year, the whipped cream. Yeah. So they just used peanut butter.
That sounds terrible.
It was pretty disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. All of Sunday, I was smelling peanut butter because it got in my nose. But it wasn't too terrible. It washed off pretty easily, and it didn't get everywhere. It wasn't super messy, so I appreciated that. So
see, last search I went to, you almost flashed everybody in the room. During your picture.
Yeah. We don't have to talk about that. Accidentally.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Accidentally.
Doing a handstand, right?
No, not particularly. Not particularly handstand. I was being held by my ankles by two guys like this, and so yeah, you miss a lot when you don't come to search.
Yeah, that was pretty wild moment last search,
Yeah.
but
But I mean, without further ado, for the first time in a really long time, I have procured a quote at Nazario's behest. So we will jump right in to our next segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, the quote of the week.
So search gives you a lot of opportunities. I'm going to say search like 80 times during this episode. Gives you a lot of opportunities to kind of just kick the table.
A little bit of
Just hit a little bit of the table. It gives you a lot of opportunities to reflect, and a lot of people say good stuff when they're giving their talks and things like that. And so this was a quote from Jordan Peterson, who was quoted by another Catholic podcaster. So that's a hint for our Shepherd of the Week for this week, if we can go the whole episode without mentioning him, which I doubt it because someone will forget and just say his name. But the Jordan Peterson quote is, "What could I do that I would do to make life a little better?" What could I do that I would do to make life a little better? And so, Cole, I'll toss it over to you first, because we're walking in here and Cole goes, I read the quote, but I don't really have a single thought on it. So what is your gut reaction to that? Because you asked us before, are y'all going to go like life advice or grace? And I said, I don't know how I'm going to take this to mean grace. So what are your first thoughts, Cole Bissett?
This
What's
is
his
really
middle
this
name?
is really Ethan.
Cole, Ethan, we have the same. No, we don't. Why did I say that? We don't have the same middle
Your
name.
middle name is not Ethan. Yeah, this is really unfortunate that he swung it to me because I was really hoping to bounce off the two. Oh, okay. I didn't see that. But I was really hoping to bounce off the two of them this episode.
Mm-hmm. Clearly.
So quite literally putting me in a pickle over
you
here.
can't tell this is a troll by Evan.
Yeah, it is. So my first uncomfortableness with this quote is, I think it's a good quote. I'm not disagreeing with it at all. Is could and would. For some reason, those two words, when I read it, I'm just like, ew. Like there's something about it that just twists me a little bit. What could I do? So I feel like that's first off just a nod to free will, right? Because we can do whatever we want. It's just tipping the cap, saying, this is God, this is a gift that you've given us. What can I do with this? What could I do? And we can sit here and we can talk all day about how I am going to wake up and I am going to work out and I'm going to clean the dishes. I'm going to unload the dishwasher. I'm going to sweep the house. I'm going to clean my room. And how many of those things do I actually do? Probably about 50%. Now, those are all things that I can do. That's what we can do on a daily basis. But that I would do. Now, my first question to you guys, to kind of throw this back at you since you're throwing it back at me, is what, out of all these things that we can do, what is it that drives us to do the things that we would do?
Say it one more time.
Out of all the things that we can do, right? Our dreams, aspirations, whatever it is, what is it that makes that gives us that drive to make the decision that we would do it?
Because we want to make life better.
So yeah.
To steal from the quote.
I'll say let's toss it to Nazario first.
Yeah.
Let's get your first thoughts, and then we'll come back to Cole's question.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, I just look at the would do part, and that's what I care about the most. Cole was differentiating or trying to explain the relationship between could and would, and to be honest, I just don't care about could. I don't care about the could part because there's always going to be the could part. There's always going to be the hypotheticals, but the would part is what matters. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to put on the line? What are you really going to make that decision to do? Because as you talked about, Cole, if we really could do anything, well, then why would we focus on what we could or can do? Why would we need to focus on what we actually will do?
See, I already disagree because I don't think would means that you will do it. I think would is still almost saying the same thing as could.
All right, so do me a favor and pull
I'm
up
gonna
the
pull up the
definition of
definition.
would, because my first thoughts are exactly what Nazario's, and mind you, Jordan Peterson is kind of a self-help guru,
Isn't he technically a philosopher?
yeah,
He's all over the place.
theologian.
He's
I'm
everything.
not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I would say he's a podcaster now, right? But the things that I'm focusing on are because what could I do is very much like, okay, so I could do like, I could do whatever I wanted. Like Cole said, it's not much of a filter, but what would I actually do and follow up with to make life better? So I like those two parts. And those were the two that I really focused on that grabbed my attention was, yes, I can do all these things, but what would I actually do? And are those things making my life better? Because it's not saying like I would do this and it's automatically going to make my life better. Like, there's a lot of things that I would do that are not going to make my life better. But what things would I do that would make my life better? So Cole, take us away. And I think you'll figure out that would is the past progressive participle of will, perhaps.
Yeah, the past of will is what I'm seeing, and the example it uses is he said he would be away for a couple days. Now, I also don't think that's used in the verbial sense. I feel like that's still he would be away.
I believe that is
Yeah,
verbial.
It sounds pretty verbial to me,
Yeah.
as your vocabulary would put it.
It's still, I don't think, is an action in of itself. Like, I think that word, I still think
Cole,
would
is
is
will,
used.
is will in action?
Is will?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't think will is. I don't think by saying you would or you will do something is saying that you are doing it. Like how many times do I tell
That's
you?
just the future of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
am
but how many
doing
times
it.
do I tell you that do I use that word?
But I think being we have to delineate out being truthful here or being, following through. And that's the point of using would. It's not saying like, oh, I'm saying I would do this, but actually would do, right? That's
So maybe what we're realizing here is when Evan and I say that we will or would do something, we actually will or would do it, and that you, Cole, that's just you.
will
when
is
you
just
say
a
it,
thing. It's an idea for
See,
you.
The reason I say this is because I think what Jordan Peterson is kind of giving us is a paradox. Like, I think it is a paradox because I think we're saying that what I could do, right? Like, I could go skydiving. I wouldn't go skydiving, but that doesn't mean that there's in no. Oh, here we go. Do you want to pull it?
No. Continue that thought. Continue that thought, please. I want to hear where this finishes.
Oh, goodness. I wouldn't go skydiving. I said I could go skydiving, but I wouldn't go skydiving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean that that is my action that I wouldn't do it? If you brought me on a plane and basically sat me down and was like, the only way to get down is to go down, I could do it still. I just don't like that word.
You could still do it. You're absolutely correct.
I think I still think you're pulling. So could is like is future more, right? Could it leans more future. I could do. Would is past, right? So that's past.
No,
and I think
would is also future.
Well, no, you said would was the past. Part.
Could is the past of can.
Oh man, now
Which
I'm
makes-
lost. These
makes
words have got
sense.
me tripped up. I'm
So
all
anyway,
over the
I think
place
the
here.
big point, more than the vocabulary of it, is simply the statement of we can do a lot of things, right? There's a lot of things that we can do. But of those things, right, that filter drops into what would I actually do, right? What actions am I, maybe this is better to say, Cole, what actions am I willing to take, right? What am I willing to take? Because, for example, if someone said there's a miracle drug that, like,
Cures cancer.
well, I don't have cancer, so I was going to say,
okay.
like, gives me a 6-pack abs.
Okay, there we go.
Immediately. But all we need from you is like your ability to, like run. I would be like, no, like that's
I
silly.
Take that.
Well, okay. Every man their own. But like, I could do that. Absolutely. Would I do it? Am I willing to make that trade? Probably not. Right. And then again, it passes like the third test as well. Would that make my life better? In my opinion, having a 6-pack abs but not being able to run does not make my life better, right? Apparently, that would make
you
your
are
life
definitely right
better.
on the better part. Yes,
Yeah.
it'd be better to be able to run than have a
Yeah.
6-pack. But it'd be cooler to have a 6-pack.
Yeah. So, that's kind of my first thought. Is it's very much heavily relying on the what would I do? What am I willing to do that could make my life better? That would make my life better.
Okay. I'm swayed. I think I'm just very confused with this quote. I'm not going to lie.
I'm gonna be
My input is
100%
very
honest.
mid at the moment.
Cole, I feel like you were just doing what I did at the beginning of last episode, where I agreed with you, yet I tried to disagree for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to continue with what I was going to say here. So I think about this now, Evan, going off of what you said, that we can go into this in terms of prayer right here. And you talk about when you do your Bible study, and I've tried to incorporate this a little bit more, but at the end of the study, you'll give us a little challenge. You'll say, oh, this is your homework. And Cole, does Evan actually check in on whether we've done this homework the next week?
On rare occasions.
On rare occasions. Usually not. And so one time we were hanging out with Evan, or it might have been even at discipleship, just the three of us, and we were talking, and I was like, oh, Evan, I've got my homework assignment ready. And he was like, oh, yeah, I don't think we're going to talk about that, or something like that. And then I was like, Evan, why do you do it then if you're not trying to check in with people? And he said, Evan, do you want to say the point of why you do it?
Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I do it because on the off chance that we do something, that I give y'all something to do, and it very much inspires a person or like leads them to a new form of prayer, then that's something that they're now introduced to, right? I'm not obviously giving assignments so that I can grade y'all or that. So I'm like, okay, like I told them to pray in the adoration chapel for 20 minutes this week. Like maybe someone in the group hasn't been to adoration ever, right? Or doesn't know where the adoration chapel is. And like they get in there for the first time and they're like, this is crazy. And they have a super transformational experience in adoration, right? Or Lectio, or the liturgy of the hours, or silent meditation, or any myriad of things that I have given y'all. I simply do it for the purpose of like if one person connects with this, then I've hit a goal. Like that's wonderful. That means one more person is praying in a way that they actually feel connected to Christ. So
Exactly. So the point I'm trying to make here is we have this general overview, big umbrella of prayer. And as Christians, as Catholics, we all care about, hey, we need to pray. We need to do this. But in reality, under that big umbrella are the multitude of different ways that we're able to pray. And yes, we all want to pray. We all would pray. We all would say we would pray, that we want to take that action. But the could aspects, the aspects of the different types of prayer, is where we kind of figure out, okay, where do we go from could doing this to would doing this? And this is why I really like Evan's example, is because it shows how personal prayer is and how much it matters to find the prayer that connects you with God and that inspires you in the way that the Spirit is really inviting you. Because if we think about the definition, I'm not sure if this is the exact definition of prayer, but an aspect of prayer that you have to have is the Spirit is inviting you first into it. And so for whoever it is, in whatever different way Evan may give you, so we can keep that example in our head, the Spirit is inviting each one of us in different ways. And sometimes we just realize that invitation was for us, that specific invitation. And so that's how I like to think about this quote right now, is different aspects of prayer, how the Spirit specifically invites us to the what would we actually do for our prayer? Because we could pray and we want to pray, but how would we actually pray in those different ways?
My thoughts are gathered.
And I
took
think
a second.
Please say it's not a rebuttal.
I think it's a good thing to say, like, at this point, like, I oftentimes think about Cole when I think about, like, okay, would I do that thing? Where, like, today, well, I'll say this first, then I'll say what happened today that I told you all about, that, I was very inspired by Cole in that instance. But
when did he tell us this?
I don't know.
so, like, I think about, like, you playing music for Spirit and Truth. And I'm like, okay, yes, I could do that, right? Like, obviously, I could learn guitar. I know how to sing, like, as an instrument of making noise, right? And I'm sure I could maybe get better at it, so I could, like, train myself. But am I willing to do all of that for that form of prayer, or to, like, give as an alm of my time, right? No, because there's better things I can do to make my prayer life better, to make my life better, to grow closer to Christ, that I enjoy more and that come easier to me and that I feel more connected doing. And so like today, when I was driving and I saw 3 Mormon missionaries in my neighborhood, and I said, you know what? Cole would totally invite these people on the podcast. And so I turned down my music and I pulled up next to him and I was like, hey, got a weird question, but would you like to be on a Catholic podcast? And I mean, clearly they said yes, because they're here with a, that would actually been a really cool intro. And then they just like walk in. No, clearly they said no. And you know, like you take some L's, right? You take some L's. But I was very proud of myself because like that's not something I would typically do, and that was very Cole. And like I drove away, and I was kind of like, that was illogical. Like I don't even know what we would have talked about, but I'm sure we would have talked about something fantastic, and we would have had a 3-hour podcast, right? And
You know, that's actually a self-esteem mechanism. I'm not gonna go into it, but that's really funny.
that's crazy. But like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like that's inspiring, and it's a thing that I see you do, and I see you emulate. And I go, okay, like I've seen the fruit that can bear for him. Let's try it in my own life.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
So, are you about to rebuttal? Please.
No. My thoughts are gathered. I think I know where I was headed. I finally like realized the point that I wanted to make since Evan decided to make me instantly put me in the depths of the trenches to start the episode off.
I will say, you know, this, you know, you did want to really. I mean, you texted today and we're like, hey, we're recording. Like you were really gung ho. So I am.
I'm
rewarding your gung ho-edness.
It's so fascinating to me. It's just I'm all over the place. Okay, connection between could and would. So again, back to my blanket statement. Could is it is basically irrelevant, like Nazario said, because it's every action that we can possibly do, and it's all possible. So what could I do? And I think it's important to say that because Jordan Peterson is giving us a foundation, right? He's giving us the setting, the context is what could I do? The world. You got the whole world that I would do, the things that interest you that you would do. And then out of all the things that you would do, right? Like I would totally, if I was given the opportunity, I would go to space. No, I probably wouldn't do that actually. Hold up, let me come up with a better one.
He just
Yeah.
ruined his
Yeah, sorry, 1 second. I probably wouldn't do that. Oh, I would go in one of those gravity chamber things that float up. Now, how
A what?
like one of those gravity chamber things that like you lift up and you fly. I forget. It's like a wind tunnel. A wind tunnel.
Oh,
Thank
a
you.
wind tunnel. Yeah, like the iFly,
Yeah.
like the indoor skydiving.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would totally do
So
that.
that has nothing to do with anti-gravity.
Yeah, sorry. anyway,
I was like, we need to do that. That's sick.
there's an anti-gravity thing with the plane that'll take you up right above Earth's atmosphere, and that's pretty cool. But besides the point, I would do so many things, right? There's so many things that I would do, but how many of those things will actually spend the time to invest and will do it and put money and my time into it? And so that's more of my question earlier was like, okay, out of all those things that you would do, like there's so many. Could is everything in the world. Would is all the things that interest you. Out of all those things that you would do, that's why I was trying to say there's still doubt, right? Because we would do so many things, but we can't. Realistically, we can't do all the things that we would do.
So those fall into the could not.
I don't agree with that. See, I don't agree with that. And here, like somebody would say, I would like to go to Spirit and Truth tonight, but I can't because I have something.
Yeah.
That's
so,
would in that term.
Uh-huh.
But so my thing is, what out of all the things that we say, see now you get my confusion a little bit.
See, but could and can are the same word. So I would go to Spirit and Truth if I could, but I can't, is saying that I could not go to Spirit and Truth tonight. That's the same word.
He is correct. They're saying they would do it, but they're not doing it. So they're not wooding it.
They're not choosing. So
they're choosing the other side.
Very much choosing versus not choosing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it is something that we can actively choose, we want to actively choose, I would do that. But if it's something I wouldn't actively choose, then I would not do that, right? Whereas if it's simply available, I could do that. If it's not available, I could not do that. Like, I could not go fly myself into the sun because I don't have the resources or the ability to do that because we haven't.
You would be disintegrated.
Also, I would be disintegrated, right? Now, would I do that? No. Like, I also would not do that. But there are things that I would do that I also could not do, like I don't know. I want to fly like the Ranger thing from Interstellar, you know, the machine,
Uh-huh.
like the spaceship. I would fly that in an instant. That looks sick. That thing looks like fired up. Could I do that? I could not do that because,
I mean, if you live long enough, maybe.
yeah, maybe, but it's not available to me, right? I could not do that.
So my rebuttal to that would be if you have all these things that you would do.
Why has this turned into
Because
an argument episode?
It's not. It's just more of like
He came in fired up.
It's a counter question. It's a counter question.
Yeah.
Out of all the things that you could do
Mm-hmm.
and you would do,
Uh-huh.
realistically, not possible to do everything, right?
Yeah.
From my perspective, this is where my brain is at. This is why I'm confused.
Yeah.
Is we are given so many different resources in Catholicism: scripture, tradition, prayer, mass, sacraments, so many different things to encounter. Realistically, it isn't possible for us to do everything.
Yeah.
And to do all the good things in the world that we can. We definitely would do them, and we could do them.
Yeah.
Now, what makes us cross the line to actually pursue something that would fall in the line of will do?
So it makes your life better at the end.
That's what I'm trying. I'm just trying to link here, because we haven't gotten to that part yet. So now, what would you say would make your life better? How do you determine the hierarchy of goodness in making your life better?
So I'll shout out my dad real fast.
Dang.
So I
Shout
think
out
one of you
Mr.
said like,
A-Bear.
you know, the talk was fire. I heard about the talk being fire. So he talked about order amoris, or however you say it. It's Latin, and it's the order of love, right? And so, you know, we follow this very simple order of love of, for married people in his case, God, spouse, children, and everybody else, right? So I think like what makes my life better? Well, first, like if it's ordered towards Christ, that's making my life better, like hugely, right? Obviously, right? If it's an ordered good towards my spouse, that's making my life better. If it's an ordered good towards my children or someone else, that's making my life better, right? But as you say, right, like how do we pick? Like we have all these things that we would do or that we could do, but maybe we don't have the time to do all of these things that we could and would do, right? So then we order, right? Is, like 3 hours of meditative prayer. Fantastic. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful for you. And that's highly seeking the first order of a relationship with Christ. However, it's completely being negligent of your wife, your children, and others, right? And so at the end of the day, when I get home and I'm like, you know, I went to work and then I came home from work at 5 o'clock, I ate dinner, and then I went and meditated for 3 hours. I
pre-thought about what he was
What he was
going
gonna
to
say.
say. It just made
Makes
me
sense.
laugh.
I haven't seen my kids all day, right? Like, you know, I haven't seen my wife all day. That's not really cool, right?
Mhm.
And so then that falls into the, okay, it's not making my life better, probably, right? But 20 minutes of meditative prayer, right? Or finding a different form of prayer that I'm able to incorporate my wife and kids into that is drawing me closer to Christ. I'm fulfilling my vocation as a husband and father. Then that's something that's definitely making my life better. And again, as single people right now, like it's very easy to say like, okay, what makes my life better, right? And like maybe you think that doing 3 hours of meditative prayer, I'm not dissing that. Just so we're clear, I'm not dissing meditative prayer. But like maybe you say right now that that's really good for me. Fantastic. Do it. Like if you have the time and ability, if you can do that and you will do that, do it. Because that'll guaranteedly make your life better. But for most of us who have like, you know, responsibilities and we go to school and we have to cook and do chores and have sleep and do other
Zaria's
things
favorite thing.
outside of school, like that's not really feasible. Like we can't do that. I can't block out 3 hours of my day just to do nothing but meditate, right? Or maybe I can, and I'm really disorganizing my schedule, right?
Nazario, I'm gonna keep going on your little I'm falling apart on your whatever you're talking about. I'm gonna keep going on what you're rolling.
My
with.
line of reasoning.
Yeah, your line of reasoning. Thank you. Golly, man.
But he's going to ask you a question.
I am-
He's
Yeah, I
got
don't know
tired of
what's
asking
coming
me
in, but here we go.
questions.
This quote has just rattled my brain a little bit.
He's shook.
Nazario,
Shooketh.
Yes, sir.
using your psychological perspective.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Recently, by the way, I got the pleasure to go to class with Nazario, and I think the reason it was very good class.
Social
very,
psychology class.
very interesting teacher. But I think the reason I disliked it at the end is because I felt like my line of reasoning just came back to the beginning, from the beginning of class about the question, and I felt like I was just in a loophole. And so I need to ask my psychologist who can escape that circle a question. And so how do you discern in your day, what is the natural human tendency of doing an action throughout your day? What makes you do something?
Ooh, fascinating, because actually in physiological psychology, we were reading about this today.
Oh, well, perfect timing for me then.
Wait. I just want to clarify this question for my brain and probably most people that just heard it.
Fair.
Not theologically, natural.
Yeah. So what drives you to make any action?
Yes, a decision, your natural tendency.
So decision drivers.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
So, wow, this is going to be interesting. But first things first, it pops out. Physiological
Try to be
psychology.
like,
What's up?
like try to be like not like in the weeds, like try to be a little bit.
Yeah.
So
For us
so we can
engineers and biology
But-
majors over
Oh,
here.
well, I'll
please.
understand. I'm doing
Yeah.
it for your benefit, the
Yeah,
viewers.
sorry for my benefit.
But I was reading about an experiment, okay? And basically, these people had to look at this thing, and they had to determine when, like, at what point did they do this action. And there was, like, a clock in a circle, and so they were looking at this clock, and then they decided when they flexed their wrist, I think is what it was. And so every person, they had stuff connected to their brain and their wrist, and so then the person would report when they did it, but then the people had the tracker of when they actually did it. And so when the person recognized that they did or that they chose to do it was actually after they made the action. The action started like 300 milliseconds before they think they made the decision. And so this is like randomly where my brain like enters into this, and I'm like, shoot, how am I actually going to answer Cole on this question after I've read this? Because I'm like, am I even making the decision? Well, obviously we believe in free will, so yes, we're making the decision. But how in the world does my brain decide to do this? And I think that goes back now to social psychology and the amount. And then started doing the experiment.
Well, see, what's funny though is I'm like, okay, I'm gonna move my wrist.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
don't know.
like,
I think it's just-
am
I
I
don't
tweaking
understand
or
either.
something? Like,
I don't
So if
understand.
if you're looking at a clock, so I think I would say that I made it here, but I think I actually made the decision at this point, like in my in.
See, I think you made the decision to say that you were actually going to move your wrist
True,
after you had said
true.
that. And then when you
yes,
actually
that is-
lifted your hand, that decision must have been, according to Nazaria's psychological research, after you made the decision
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, I have no
See,
clue. Keep
isn't
talking.
it crazy?
Keep talking.
It's crazy. This
Keep
is why I
talking.
was in a loop the whole class.
Yeah, so I go back to social psychology, talking about automatic processing and how much of our brain, like, we don't even understand what's going on. It's just like automatically doing these things for us. So that's a huge aspect of our daily action, is that we're just automatically doing it. And we tend to focus on certain things. Of course, we have what we are focused on, whether it be our phone, our music, the people we're interacting with, but also we could be walking at the same time. And we're just walking and we're not thinking about it at all. So there is so much of our daily life that we're not thinking about. Now, could you go back to your question so that I could maybe go a little bit more into it here?
Yeah, I was gonna say one more thing, like an example of this, like natural action before you even make the decision. Like for me during Lent, I gave up like scrolling on Instagram, but for me, like I still have the natural tendency, because I have it to post for podcasts, just to open it, and so like I'll open it and then not realize that I made the decision to open it. And then by the time that I made the decision, realized that I made that decision, I'm already viewing the first two stories, and I'm like, wait, I give this up for Lent. What am I doing? And I'll swipe off. And so, like, that's a natural one. I can see that's a little more delayed, just because I think I do a lot. I was talking to Nazaria about this, and my subconscious really does a lot, and that's why I forget things all the time and where I put things. But
It's called a
Yeah.
dopamine addiction.
a dopamine addiction, that too.
Yeah.
But no, like I'm saying, like on a day-to-day basis, I forget where I put my keys, even though I made the
Yeah, no, I
action.
was referring to Instagram, not you forgetting.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm giving it up for Lent.
Uh-huh.
But
Why? So, we'll talk about this later. This is gonna be in discipleship later, but yeah, keep going.
okay. Anywho, Nazario, you wanted a
Yeah.
rehash of the
If I could-
question.
Yeah.
So recently
into it
we
more.
also talked about like does emotion become before reaction? So
Bro,
that
I
kind of
hated
plays
that
in the
episode.
yeah, it kind of plays in the this sort of it really is kind of fall into that category. But my question to you is what drives a human to make a decision naturally?
Yeah. Naturally, first things first. I'll go back to social psychology once again. I think first things first almost is survival. And so we talked about what happens when we're around people and we're in a group. And there's different parts of it. But one of the things we talked about was arousal. And, you will become excited. You have your brain starts firing. Your body starts firing. Why? Survival. These people could kill you. Now, you're not very likely to be killed, but it is possible. So first things first, naturally what's happening is survival. And I think that would be like the number one answer that I would go with. Because if you think about it, if you're walking, okay, why is your brain doing that? To get somewhere, to survive. If you fall down, you could die. If you're walking across the street and you just like stop walking, well, a car could run into you. And so that's just like a basic example. But I would say the first would be the natural reaction to survive.
Evan hit me with the actually thing.
Yeah,
So I'm going to get
so-
to him in just a second, but I'm actually going to interrupt him first.
Are you going to disagree?
No. I'm not going to
Okay.
disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Are you going to disagree with me?
No.
Okay. My question was like, okay, from the theological standpoint, if our natural decision is something that happens from arousal and stimulation
From a
and
physiological
yeah, from-
standpoint.
no, theological this time. I'm flipping the script.
Physiological.
Yeah, so I have the
arousal.
answer, so keep going.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, keep
I was
going.
going to
This
say,
is a
why
great
don't
question.
we naturally make the decisions in our survival instinct if we know that the way to survive is to get to heaven? Why? And I mean, this is it can be answered relatively simply, but I'm trying to get to the point of the quote too, is why don't we as
What do you
what I
what do you
yeah
thi-
sorry
what do you
my
think's the point
perspective of the
quote?
point of the
Yeah.
quote, why do we even though we know the goal, the end goal, the way to
Mhm.
survive, the way to
Mhm.
keep living our
Mhm.
lives in heaven with Christ,
Mhm.
why do we still not naturally subconsciously make the good decisions that are going to be the best to get
Mm.
us there?
You want to go?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think it's fairly simple, honestly.
Yeah, it is. And
So,
I'm just
well,
asking
this is
to
going to be
get
a
the statement
really
out there.
long-winded answer for a
Yeah,
simple.
that makes sense. It's
right.
classic Evan answer.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so the first thing I'll say is physiological response does not have anything to do with theological
Yes.
response,
Of course.
right? So like when
They don't have anything to do with each other.
hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
This is fun.
So when
I like
Nazario
this
says
episode.
like my animalistic instinct lizard brain, and that's an actual scientific term. I have a degree. Lizard brain tells me I need food, I need water, I need, a mate, I need shelter, right? Things like that. Those are physiological needs, right? And like those things are going to be ordered towards our survival, not towards like our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, not towards like our enlightenment or our ability to like think critically or anything like that, right? And so where the church comes in is those natural desires are ordered towards the good, right? So we have natural desires, yes, for all these different things, right? But how do we order them towards good? Well, here's a set of theological rules, theological values and virtues that help you to order them towards good. Now, why aren't we naturally inclined to say like, oh, well, why aren't we naturally inclined to make the good decision always? We are. Like that is perfect union, is so that we are always naturally inclined. We always strive to make the decision for good, for our good, to be in union with Christ, in perfect union, which is heaven, right? That was the idea. Now, we cooked that, right? Clearly in the garden, we cooked that. And so our inclination did not change, but rather how we taught people growing up, how we instilled those values and those virtues, how people see those, how their natural desires are formed and impacted by what goes on around them are the things that form their inclination, right? So Father Mugaga always uses this example of when kids are playing, they don't ask what color they are, right? Kids don't see that, this is a little black kid and this is a little white kid, but kids see this is another kid, right, that I can play with. only when we reach some form of reason and our biases have been established by our parents and the people around us and the community and society do we begin to see biases, see prejudices, see things that inform our decisions, right? So are we still inclined to the good? Yes, absolutely, right? Like I would be of the firm opinion. Well, if you put somebody in a completely, and this is a psychological study that they can't actually do, but like if you took a baby and you just put them in the wild, right? They would grow up like an animal, right? They would do their best to survive, right? Exactly, right? And there's some truth to that. But you put a baby in society where its needs are met, right? Where that base layer is met, and then you get the second level, right? Then you get the third level. And then enlightenment, right? So you have your physical needs met. You have your physiological needs met. You have your emotional needs met. Some people lump in spiritual needs to emotional needs in later psychological handbooks. And that leads to like personal enlightenment, personal fulfillment, right? Mm-hmm. Again, you can, say something if I'm wrong, but that, right? Rather than, oh, we're not inclined to good anymore, society lends us towards making the decision that we've been informed by them to make rather than the one that we've been informed through Christ to make.
Yeah, and
so long-winded.
That was that long.
No, that was
No,
fun.
it wasn't
I thought that was a
terrible.
good breakdown.
Yeah.
Of what was needed to be said. I think the more we're talking about this, the more perfectly I realize we kind of complemented last episode with this episode. Last episode, we focused a lot on nurture and kind of what that means to us today, like how much our past with our family, friendships, relationships, whatever it may be, really shaped us and molded us into the person we are today. And I think today we focused a lot about our nature, our actions now, how the people that we surround us with make us, how they form us into making decisions, how they form us into thinking. And so what also needs to be said here is how much the two should complement each other now, right? Those two should complement each other very well to help us get to heaven. And that's kind of like the ultimate goal, is that your nature and nurture both complement each other in a way that can transform you fully more into a life with Christ. And so did you realize that, or is that just me? Because I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, whoa, this is actually so crazy that we did this. Totally unintentional. But we were talking. You should listen to the last episode. It was really good. A lot about nurture. You were shouted out a couple times, actually. So.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's like I was not there.
Yeah. Actually, Nazaria did say rest in peace to Evan. Yeah. And then I don't know if you clarified it, actually. I don't think you did. I think you just said rip Evan. But yeah.
So with the time constraint, that's been a really good 45 minutes already. Let's hit a quick transition. We'll get into our next segment right away.
Ladies and gentlemen, the practical prayer practice of the week.
Yeah, so welcome to the Practical Prayer Practice of the Week segment. We have a private chat right here on our computer. If you guys are on video, that you can see. And it shows, what our quote is, what our shepherd of the week is. There's a missing link, and there's just no practical prayer practice there. And I said that we were going to figure out one during the episode, and it looks like neither of my podcast members have an idea. So I'm going to roll with what I got. So the practical...
Wait. All right, never mind. I thought he was going to whisper to my ear.
No.
What if it's something goofy?
We're just sending it.
What if we
Okay, so we talked about what would you do? What will you actually decide to do? And we want you to sit down this week and figure out what type of prayer in your life would you actually decide to do? What would you actually make a daily routine in prayer? What type of prayer would that be? Cole, I want you to give an example of what type of prayer you would do, that you could say even one that you have done, that you've made the decision to make a daily part of your prayer routine. Same for you, Evan, as well. I think for me, one that I've added, so this would be a little bit more fun, is daily scripture reading. And I think that's been really beneficial to making myself and choosing. I said I could do it, I said maybe even that I would do it if I had the opportunity. But making that actual decision to say, okay, I'm going to read scripture every day. I'm going to listen to the Bible in a year every day. It's been pretty good. So that doesn't have to be you as well. This is what you would do. What individually is God calling you through the Spirit to choose to make a daily prayer routine?
Yeah, for me, recently I picked up doing a daily rosary, and most of the time I will start that as part of my morning routine. First thing I do is when I wake up, I go get a shower, and I'll turn on like the audio when I'm in the shower that I've got on Spotify of like praying the rosary, so I can pray while I'm in the shower, and then I will continue the rosary throughout the rest of my morning into my car ride, which has also been daily silence, which still to this day has been very humbling for me.
To this day, like it's been years.
Feels like it, man. I've been battling, but it was
What day of letter are we on?
It's like
13? 13?
13.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, the hard part is when I have to leave the house for the first. No, it'll be the second time, so I can actually listen to music. I'm dreading the day that I leave in the morning to go back home one day, like to go back home in the morning as the first drive of my day, and then the whole hour and a half is silent. That is the day that I'm dreading. I'm waiting for it.
Good thing you're not
transformative day.
further
Cool.
any
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it would be bad. What if I was driving to Kentucky?
No, when we drive to Florida, bro.
We're driving to the gym first thing in the morning. We're not.
No,
Yeah. So
you're cooked, bro.
it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll
8
figure it
Oh,
out.
it's only first thing in the morning?
Yeah, it's on my car ride
The
into school.
his first drive of the day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. You should try to push yourself to that 8-hour drive. Podcasts.
Well, I'm gonna be in a car with like 8 dudes.
They're all Catholic.
Yeah, but they're not gonna want to be sitting
Zach's
in silence
actually
for 8.5.
Well, Zach could
Yeah, Zach is a
afford some Matt
Catholic.
Fradd. So pints, 2
Oh,
pints
I do
episode.
podcasts. No,
2
it's
pints
not,
episode
it's
gets
just
you to
nothing
Florida.
in general. Like it's just silence.
Oh.
I mean, I can have conversations. but
It'll be
that's it.
you and 8 other dudes
yeah,
in a
so
car.
we're gonna be listening.
Nah.
to
Just
stuff.
talk.
Yeah.
There's just like 6 of us in the car.
Yeah, just talk.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
At 5 a.m. when they're all gonna want to
Yeah, it's
kill me
just
for
this-
waking them up.
I
For
do
sure.
do.
Whoa.
I do like
Morning,
morning
evening,
prayer.
and afternoon.
yeah, morning prayer. And I do evening prayer. I'd say like 75-80% of the time I'll do like the actual liturgy of the hours night prayer. And then the other 25% of the time like I'm still doing like my night prayer, but I, do some other thing. It gets tedious sometimes after a while, right? Repeating day. So yeah, that is something I could do, that I would do, that has made my life better.
Very nice. And with that, we hope you can find your way the Spirit is, inviting you into deeper prayer. And we hope you enjoy the practical prayer practice of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the shepherd of the week.
So it was actually me. I broke it. I said his name first.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I actually
definitely
noticed that
did
just a
I
not.
second
said
ago.
his name first.
We did not mention him at all. Up top.
Which I'm shocked by. So yeah, our shepherd of the week is Matt Fradd. So this quote came from a talk at Search, which Matt Fradd applied this to Catholic theology and basically saying like, yeah, what?
Yeah, Matt Fradd was at the retreat, guys.
No, Matt Fradd was not at the retreat, but someone quoted Matt Fradd quoting Jordan Peterson
Wow.
as saying, "What could I do that I would do that would draw me closer to Christ?" And so of course, like, Jordan Peterson was first, that would make my life better, and Matt Fradd was that would draw me closer to Christ.
Did
Or
they do a pod together? They've got to have done a pod together.
I don't know. That's good. That's a good question.
Exists.
But yeah. So Matt Fradd is it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to call him a fellow podcaster because we're like Bush League, and he's now on the Daily Wire with his famous
We'll be there one day.
podcast, Pints with Aquinas. Atheism, climate change, and marriage advice. Jordan Peterson and Matt Fradd. But a super cool guy. Super cool guy, and he is just like, there's always a tidbit. His podcasts are always super interesting. They are long. Yeah, there we go. St. Thomas Aquinas. They are long. I guess my head's in the way. His podcasts are very long. They're like 3 hours typically. But they're good. Like, I break them up. I'll listen to like an hour. He'll break them into chapters kind of on like, on Spotify.
How often does he release a pod?
Weekly, probably, I think is what he does. He's also Australian. So he has a nice, pleasant voice.
Yeah.
He has a what? He's a what?
He's Australian. Yeah.
Did that sound like he said Australian the first time?
Yeah.
Dang.
It
I
Yeah.
did not follow
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, your homework this week
Like said
is
he's Australian. Like, what?
is go pick a Pints episode and just, like peruse 30 minutes of it. Plop yourself. The great thing with Pints is you can plop yourself in the middle of an episode and it's going to have an interesting tidbit. Unless, of course, it's a debate episode, then you'll be completely lost. So yeah, that is our shepherd of the week is Matt Fradd with the Pints with Aquinas podcast. So without further ado, I've thoroughly enjoyed this.
We need to get
I
a
do have to
final
say-
thoughts transition.
A final thoughts transition?
Just
Man,
a-
dude, finding that like voice
Um,
manipulator thing that I did
yeah.
for those other ones took me forever.
I
Maybe
can just
something.
I
You
can
can do
just
it,
do
buddy.
it.
You want to do it?
Yeah, I can
Dude,
just
you
do
can
it.
totally just do
I'm
it.
sweating personally. I don't know about you two, but I'm a little bit balmy in here.
Yeah.
Could be the jeans, and this is like basically a mesh shirt, so I don't get that one. But I'm balmy in here. So Cole, final thoughts, or maybe we should give it to him last since he's been rather argumentative this episode. I'm not sure.
See, I don't really have any more final thoughts. I'm kind of just
I'm not
content.
shocked by that.
I'm content with this conversation because I've looped and we've gotten to the point of the quote and I'm glad that we were able to navigate there, and that I could help maybe direct my attention towards where we were going, and so that was nice.
we could help direct your attention.
So that
Yeah.
that was great. If you notice, like from minutes 15 to 20, where I'm staring off into space, that was me gathering my thoughts. So you can go find that and laugh at me.
It was funny to watch on the video that like Nazar and I are just looking at each other and having a conversation. Cole's over here like,
Yeah. So one day Matt Fradd is going to be on this podcast. Shout out Matt Fradd. And it's
That
going to be legend. Wait for it.
bold prediction.
Dairy. It's going to be legend.
Wow.
Wait
Bold
for Dairy.
prediction.
It's going to be so good. But Matt Fradd, we are looking forward to seeing you when you hop on the podcast.
That's gonna be a great day. I mean, you have any final thoughts?
I'm not as optimistic as Cole about Matt Fradd being on this podcast, but
It's
no,
something that we can do, and it's something that I would do.
Well-
So it's going to be possible. I'm going to make it happen.
Okay.
that
There's
new
my final
new
thought.
quote. If I can do it and I would do it, it's possible. Yeah. So no, I have nothing else. I said a whole lot. So if you want my final thoughts, go rewatch the episode.
We've been really slamming some long episodes recently. I think our last episode was an hour and 3 minutes.
And we got to get at least into the 2-hour range before we're gonna have pints on.
We could us yappers could totally get
I
there.
could do.
if we
I can
really
do that
did it.
next year. 100%. 100%. I can hit a 2-hour episode. We made our
that?
schedules. I only have class on Tuesday and Thursday.
How many
Oh
hours do
my
you have next
goodness.
semester?
15.
15. Still in grad school. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
So
Rosario, you're the only one
actually, we
that's been-
can't do that next
Yeah,
semester.
we can.
I mean, he'll be virtual,
Oh,
so it'll be
virtual.
me and
it's
you.
gonna be very interesting.
TV.
you know that?
Yeah, it will be interesting. But, besides that, not looking towards the future, not looking towards that scary and heartbreaking situation. This has been episode number.
Is he just not gonna have final thoughts of this episode?
Oh, final thoughts,
I
Nazario.
was waiting for
You're
one of you to
welcome.
ask me, so
I
you
got
can
you,
go
bro.
for
I
it.
got
Well,
you.
see, here's what happened. You had final thoughts, and then he just immediately sent it to me. So I just figured we did the crescent,
Yeah.
and we were ready to go. So, Nazario, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Please have some relevant.
Thank you.
If you say I have no final thoughts,
Please.
No, I have a few final thoughts. So y'all took it and decided to break down the quote in a, I'm not even sure I would call it a theological way. It was more of a, I don't know if it's just a dictionary way
literary
or what.
way.
But
Yeah, it was a
literary
very
way.
interesting conversation.
And
at
I'm
the
just sitting here
front.
like, okay, I'm gonna jump in for my 5 minutes, say my piece, and allow them to continue because I had my part that I liked about it, and I was just like, I don't know why y'all are so
See?
literary about it, but
I knew you would do your thing where you would have your say. You would get your little pinpoint in there, and so I was like, I gotta get Nazario back into this conversation. So I was like,
appreciate that.
psychology.
yeah, but this is a Christian podcast, so I'm gonna end it on a Christian note here, guys, and how we can incorporate this quote into our daily lives, and not, have this quote floating through your mind all the time, but to realize what it takes to make your life better. And that's realizing that, there's all these things out in the world, all these different things that we could do. Anything, technically, I guess, is possible for you. I don't think any of us are ever going to be messy as much as we hope, but, I guess we could. But to realize what in your life you can do, that you will do to make your life better. And that obviously starts with a relationship with God. And then you have to, as we talked about with our practical prayer practice, figure out how the Spirit is inviting you to grow in your personal prayer. And to realize there is a core truth to Christianity, to Catholicism, that we are called, that we must believe in and follow. But then also expand and realize that God made us individually and personally, and he knows us deeply in that profound way, and that he knows there are certain ways that your relationship with him will work and how it will be different than others. We all here sit here. We all do a podcast together. That's our collective thing. But we all know we have very different relationships with God, not in terms of levels, greater or worse. That's not how we work here. Different. That's all it is. Just individual. Evan, he has his liturgy of the hours. Cole has his rosary in the shower. That kind of rhymed. That was fun. And then I have the Bible in a year right now.
Hour shower. There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, he was confused.
But realize the individual way that God is calling you to grow in your relationship with him, and figure out what you will do, and then make it a decision. No more wills. We're going to take the wills out of it. What are you doing right now? And choose to do it right now. This has been episode number 82 of the Lost Sheep Podcast. We thank you all for tuning in. Don't feel that was terrible. Redo. Cut that out. Thank you all for tuning in to episode number 82 of the Lost Sheep Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, reach out to us. Got Instagram, we got Spotify, we got Apple Podcasts, we got TikTok, we got all the things out there. Don't forget about YouTube. Smash the like button. And we'll see y'all next week. God bless.